What's going on, guys? Thanks for being here. Welcome to a little series I'm going to do where I try to highlight some lesser appreciated weapons because, you know, a lot of people still believe a lot of false things about UVHM and OP10, such as that, you know, there's no weapon variety, there's no build variety, you have to use a B shield, you have to use a grog nozzle. So I just thought highlighting some of the lesser appreciated weapons and showing just how devastating they can be when built properly would be, you know, a good way to showcase that a lot of those things just aren't true. You know, there's a ton of viable gear on OP10, and the Teeth of Terramorphous is one of my favorite shotguns. It's a very underrated weapon. Now, it's not a, you know, top tier shotgun. It's pretty good. It's certainly underrated, and when built properly, it can absolutely shred enemies. Now, I do like using this weapon on Zero because he can make it have great one-shot, one-kill potential, and then it also has a massive magazine size, and it only consumes 1 ammo per shot. So it plays in such a way that it can get one-shot kills with Zero, but then it can also basically be a persistence weapon where it keeps shooting over and over because of how large the magazine size is and how low the ammo consumption is. It only consumes 1 ammo per shot, so considering that, it might be the most ammo efficient shotgun in the game as far as how much damage each trigger pull does. Now, this is a Teeth of Terramorphous that I got legitimately from Terramorphous. It does have a matching grip, but it has no accessory, unfortunately. I did use a Storm for stripping shields here. I think I only used it like once. I used a Slagga for slagging, and I used a Badaboom for getting second wins. And then I ran a grounded turtle shield. This is one of the best non-unique shields I've ever found. It's very, very good. Turtle shields are really good because they lower your health in exchange for better shield stats. But because of the way health gating works on OP10, we can actually make that health reduction work in our favor. And then just a Slag Transfusion Grenade for healing and slagging. I did use a Chaotic Evil Rogue comm. The skill bonuses will be really nice, as will the passives to crit damage and fire rate. The Teeth of Terramorphous is a weapon that massively benefits from fire rate bonuses. And so because Zero can boost the fire rate with the Chaotic Evil Rogue comm and with Two Fang, it's very, very effective in his hands. I think he is the most effective user of it. Axton is pretty good with it too. I do an Axton run here, after the Zero run, because this does deal grenade splash damage, so Axton can boost it. But yes, like I said, with Zero, it has both great one-shot, one-kill potential, and with his fire rate bonuses and Two Fang, it also is a very good just persistence weapon. Go ahead and use a Bone of the Ancients to boost the fire damage and to get cooldown rate. Zero is really good with shotguns because of deception. So getting our deception back more quickly and then being able to burst down enemies with the Teeth of Terramorphous will be really good. I'll just go over the skills quickly here. I don't think I need to go over each one of them. I take Execute here because it's just good for closing distance. Killing Blow is good for finishing off weak mobs. And then Grim and Follow Through are just great kill skills. Like I said, Two Fang is really, really good with this weapon, as it is a strong single shot weapon with a slow fire rate, basically. So Two Fang will basically make up for its worst trait, which is this very low fire rate. And then over here, I did go ahead and decide to spec into Velocity at 10 points, getting that plus 30% crit damage and plus 20% gun damage, which is too good to pass up. And I spec'd into At 1 with the gun and Critical Ascension because I originally planned to use the Slag Snider, and then during the gameplay, for some reason, I just used the Slagga. So I don't know why I did that. I already recorded the gameplay, by the way, so that's what I'm talking about. So these were completely useless. I could have moved them into maybe Kill Confirmed or Fearless. I did go ahead and take Precision to tighten the spread. It is really good with shotguns because of that. I don't know if it really helped the Teeth very much because of its firing pattern, but, you know, it did really good work. But yeah, and bar will be turned off. And like I said, after I do this run here with Zero, I do go ahead and do a run with Axton. And also the shock resistance on this turtle shield will help because the beatdown does have a lot of damage over time. I ended up getting down quite a few times. I didn't want to redo the run because, you know, I don't like to cherry pick runs. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and get into the gameplay. All right, guys, so here we are with the gameplay section. And of course, I am at the beatdown here. So you can see the Teeth does have one shot, one kill potential, which almost every shotgun does with Zero. And when enemies are running at you like that, that is a good opportunity to one-shot them. And you can see the benefit of the massive magazine sizes. We're able to just keep shooting and keep shooting, even when we aren't able to kill an enemy in a single shot. Now, the Teeth of Terramorphous does have kind of a strange way you have to shoot it. It's very hard to describe, but there's a very specific sort of range and sort of angle that you need to shoot at, and you'll see sometimes whenever I miss it, that's when it's not doing any damage. But you can see for the most part, it is just absolutely shredding these guys. And as I said, I did get this legitimately from Terramorphous. That's why it doesn't have an accessory. And, you know, it's plenty good even without one. It does have a bandit grip, which I was very happy with. This is actually the second one I got. The first teeth that I got had a Hyperion grip and a bayonet accessory, which is like the worst possible roll, which was very disappointing. And again, like I said, when an enemy's running at you like that, that's the best time to shoot them. And sometimes you do get at kind of an awkward range where the teeth is less effective. If you can get the pellets to converge, it can be used at range. It's very good for blowing those bikers up too. But overall, I do find it better to use at like point blank range. You can see it one-shot that guy without slag, and it was able to finish that guy off from kind of far away. It is a shame that this weapon is very hard to obtain, which is probably why people don't really use it. But I have seen people say that it sucks, and it absolutely does not, you know. There's just, you know, OP10, and to a lesser extent Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, but especially OP10, it's all about balancing your build and building everything working together. So I think a lot of people, they just pick up any weapon, and if it's not as strong as a Pimpernel or a Lauda, then they just automatically think it sucks. But, you know, when you work everything together, you get the most out of your skills, you get the most out of your relic and your class mod, you can make a lot of stuff work. So again, the Teeth of Terramorphous is not an incredible shotgun, it's just an underrated one. And you can see it's doing very, very good work here. No B-Shield, contrary to what people tell you, the B-Shield is really only necessary for raiding. And even then you can do raids without the B-Shield, it's just a pain. And, you know, I was being very cautious. The beatdown is a tough map with a lot of... the enemies in particular aren't super tough, but it's just that they have a lot of elemental damage. I think that was the only time I used the Storm. I would also like to cover some pearls. Again, pearls are better than people think. Now, are they as good as they should be for how rare they are and how hard they are to get? No, of course not. I've got most of mine from doing the peak skip, but if I had to beat Digistruct Peak every time to get a chance at one, that would be pretty ridiculous. So that was kind of a shame that Gearbox did undertune them. So you can see the Teeth is just doing work on all these guys. And again, this is with no accessory. It is a shame that the Pearlescents aren't as strong as they should have been, but you know, they absolutely are still good. Some of them. The Becca, the Butcher, the Stalker, the Avenger, the Carnage, the Sawbar, all of those are very good. We're struggling to take out this Road Warrior a little bit, but we finally got him. One benefit when it comes to farming the Teeth of Terramorphous is that it is locked to the best element, so you at least don't have to worry about, you know, getting a non-elemental or a slag version. Boom, just took out both of those guys with a single burst. I really don't understand the decision to make a really tough boss like Terramorphous only drop some of his gear at like a 2.86% rate. It took, I think I've killed Terramorphous like 250 times, and I've only got 3 Teeth of Terra. And I got like 6 hides, but they all sucked. The Ancient Dragons are one of the most well-designed raid bosses in the game. And they're guaranteed to drop either the Omen, the Blockade, or the Stinger. And all 3 of those are top tier. That's what a raid boss should be. They should be guaranteed to drop something really good. And then the dragons also drop a lot of Iridium and Seraph crystals, and they have the chests there. So You know, Terramorphous is a really tough boss. You know, most people are not going to be able to solo him legitimately on OP10, so they're just not going to be able to get the teeth. And that's another thing, is whenever you make it only have a 2% drop rate, you basically incentivize people to cheat. I've beat Terramorphous legitimately like 100 times. I like the fight a lot, but I've also done like 200 glitch runs, just trying to get through runs to get this drop because they made it so rare. So that is a shame. And then here I got caught on this terrain here, and I did get downed, but I was able to get back up. The Teeth of Terramorphous also looks really nice, I think. It's interesting that it has the Torg barrel, but doesn't really have the typical properties of the Torg barrel, like having a ton of projectiles and stuff, or consuming 4 ammo per shot. Which, of course, you know, unique weapons have their own special barrels, but it's interesting. Then we gotta see some Moxie cheeks here. A lot of the funnier stuff in Borderlands is kinda in the background. Like, when you pick those up, it says collecting these probably isn't creepy. And there's a lot of funny, like, background lines and stuff, too. Because they basically took the approach to comedy where they just tried everything. So there are a lot of not funny things in the game, but there's also a lot of very funny, witty stuff too. The Teeth of Terramorphous also has one of the most badass lines of red text. So it does have that going for it. His teeth made them flee in shame. And then I ended up getting downed again. I got downed several times in this run. But you know, I don't like to cherry pick runs. Oh, so see there, I threw my deception too quickly and ended up shooting right after, so I basically wasted it. But yeah, I don't like to cherry pick runs, so you know, if I end up getting downed a lot, I just stick with it. You know, OP10 is very challenging. I've never tried to say that it's not. I'm just saying that, like, there's way more viable gear and builds on it than people think. And, you know, the whole hill swapping and grog nozzle and B-shield being necessary stuff is just not true. Hill swapping is just not a very fun way to play to me. Like, I don't like just standing still out in the open and constantly swapping to a grog to get my health back. I mean, obviously everyone should play the game the way they want, and if that's what they enjoy, they should do it. But for me, I find that to be a very unenjoyable playstyle. And again, I don't know why I ended up using the Slagga. I did mean to use the Slag Snider, which is a very good slag tool. And see right here, sometimes if your shots are a little bit off, that's where the teeth does struggle. So, like I said, it's hard to describe, but the teeth has a specific range and a specific way that you need to fire it to get the most out of it. And you'll kind of get a feel for it as you use it. But I did decide to go ahead and use Velocity, which at 10 points is just such a great skill. It does just unfortunately have that bad synergy with stuff like the Pimpernel. But we are almost finished here, and then we'll head on over to Axton. I do like Axton a lot. He's probably my third favorite character. Zero's my first, of course, and then Mai is going to be my second. But they're all very good characters. And you can see a very effective weapon, and we will head on over to Axton. Alright guys, so here we are with Axton, and I did go ahead and slap a vertical grip on this just to see what it can do with it. Like I said, the original one I was using I did get legitimately, but I did go ahead and slap that vertical grip on here just to see what it could do with it. I just ran a plasma caster for dealing with the shamans here, as well as the Topneaa, and then a Slagga for slagging. I did run the Blockade. The Blockade is my favorite shield. At OP10, it gives you 35% true damage reduction, and that does also apply to your health. And now this one has all bandit parts, which is typically thought of as not very good, but it gives us really good capacity and really good recharge rate, although at the cost of having a long delay. Now, because Axton has really good shield skills, I really like the Blockade on him because he can reduce the delay and stuff. So it's very good in general, it's very good with Axton. The damage reduction does apply to your health, so getting those bonus health points will be really nice. And to keep in mind, because it does give you 35% damage reduction, you need to multiply the capacity and the recharge rate times 1.35 to get the true numbers. You know, basically to compare it to another shield, because it gets that damage reduction to all types of damage. So just real quick, 6473311 times 1.35. So it actually has 8.7 million capacity, basically, and almost 2 million recharge rate. So those are just monstrous shield stats. The delay is higher than I'm typically comfortable with, but for those monstrous shield stats, it's just too good. And again, with all of Axton's defensive skills, it's just a complete powerhouse. I did go ahead and just do a Slag Transfusion Grenade for slagging and healing. Obviously, the fastball is a great option on Axton too, and it can help deal with troublesome enemies like shamans. Because the Teeth of Terramorphous is not very good for enemies like that. So for those types of enemies, you will want a backup plan. You know, like I said, the Plasma Caster, the Topneaa, the fastball, all of those are good options. And then the Legendary Soldier class mod. Again, the Teeth of Terramorphous is a weapon that benefits massively from fire rate bonuses. So because Axton has the Legendary Soldier, and then he has stuff like Metal Storm, it's really good on him. And again, the Teeth will benefit from grenade damage bonuses. So Steady and Battlefront, those will benefit it. Do or Die. And then again, I did use the Firebone again for the fire damage and the cooldown rate. The Teeth of Terramorphous is interesting in that both Zero's and Axton's action skills benefited a lot. For Axton, it's because we'll get access to Battlefront more quickly, which will give us the grenade damage and the gun damage bonus, which will be really nice. And then skills, I just go ahead and take Ready and Sentry. These are both just really good bonuses, and especially at 10 points. And then Willing, this is really good to help with the Blockade's high delay that this one has. Able, this is just good health regen. Onslaught, this will give us some good damage bonuses when we have our kill skills up. And then Double Up, so we can have Slag with our turrets, which is really nice. I put 1 point into Impact to activate the class mod, and then 4 points into Expertise to move down the skill tree. Both of these are just really nice, especially Expertise. And then again, Metal Storm really benefits the Teeth of Terramorphous because of those fire rate bonuses. Battlefront, again, we get to double dip here because we get the gun damage and the grenade damage bonuses for the Teeth. Longbow, I just like to take it for the turrets. Do or Die, 1 point for the ability to throw grenades and fight for your life and to get those other damage bonuses is really nice. And then Steady will give us some good recoil reduction and some good grenade damage and rocket launcher damage, which again, the grenade damage will benefit the Teeth. And then 5 points into Preparation and 5 points into Healthy. Both of these are really good defensive skills, and having them at 10 points is just going to be really nice. And again, we will get, basically 35% more health because of the Blockade. 4 points in Quick Charge and 1 point into Phalanx Shield. Quick Charge is a very good kill skill. I like Phalanx Shield, even though, yes, it does break very quickly. On OP10, even just a little bit of extra protection is nice, and for 1 point, we'll get a shield for both of our turrets, so I just like taking it. Maglock, I like to be able to stick my turrets up on walls and stuff. It's not, super required, but I do like it. And then Resourceful, contrary to what the propagandist Mr. TX01 will tell you, getting your action skill back more quickly is very very good. And again, we'll get those grenade damage bonuses from Battlefront more quickly, so it'll be good for that. And then 5 points in Grit. Just for that extra chance to avoid death. It's a pretty good skill. It basically allows you to be more aggressive. It's not super necessary because it's usually easy to get up from fight for your life anyway, but I do like taking it. And then Gemini for the double slag turrets. And Bar will be disabled, and we'll go ahead and get into the gameplay. Alright, so here we are with the Axton gameplay section, and I did decide to come to Wham Bam Island here for a little bit of variety. It is a very beautiful area, and I just thought that, like I said, for a little bit of variety, it would be good to come here. Because I do use the beatdown a lot, and I do prefer to use some different maps to show some variety in both visual environments and just for enemy variety. This game has so many beautiful and unique environments. It's one of the most underrated aspects of the game, in my opinion. Very few games can boast the same level of environmental diversity as Borderlands 2. But you can see the Teeth. It is very, very effective on Axton. Like I said, I did go ahead and give on the vertical grip just to see what it was capable of. And, there's some enemies like these warriors here and the crabs that are kind of hard to crit. And I find that the Teeth is pretty effective against them, probably because of the splash damage and stuff, and the multiple pellets. And also, I think those crabs can reflect bullets, which is something I didn't realize because I typically only play Zero, or I play Zero mostly, not only, but mostly. And then certain enemies like these Witch Doctors, the teeth isn't very effective against, so you will want, you know, a Topneaa, a Plasma Caster, you know, Fastball, whatever. Which is fine, you know, you have multiple weapon slots for a reason, so if the primary weapon you're using can't deal with all enemy types, that's perfectly fine. Witch Doctors are quite annoying. I do think it's good that they exist. You know, the game needs to have some enemies that really threaten you and really challenge you, because it would be kind of boring if you never ran into anything that could really challenge you. But the game does give you all the tools you need to dispatch them. Now, not to say they are still sometimes annoying. The ones that can leech your health especially are really annoying. So you can see, again, the high damage for, you know, only consuming 1 ammo per shot, combined with the high fire rate bonuses from Axton, is just, it makes the weapon so effective. For that cockswain guy, again, I typically play Zero, who has Bore, and Bore stops bullet deflection. So sometimes I don't realize that enemies actually will reflect bullets back at you. Which, by the way, that's another reason that people who say Bore is overrated are crazy, because it does stop bullet deflection in addition to all the other things it does. And you can see our health regen just from Axton's skills. So I very well could have used the fastball, or I could have used a Quasar or something. Those would have been good options too. And you can see for standard trash mobs like this, it is fully capable of one-shotting them. Sometimes even without slag. And it is just a ton of fun. Like I said, I do find it to be the most effective on Zero, and Axton would be the character that it's the second most effective on, I think. Maybe Krieg. I don't play Krieg, so I'm not really sure. But, you know, it is a very, very underrated weapon. Now, again, it's not, you know, a Norfleet or a Pimpernel, but it's just one of those weapons that, when built properly, it is very, very effective. And, you know, a lot of people, they don't really think about how to build their character, because, again, you know, in normal and true mode, you don't really have to. It's not really until the harder modes that you have to do that stuff. And then so naturally, some people think that a lot of gear sucks if they can't just pick it up and then immediately destroy enemies with it. Now, this Varkid Incinerator, I didn't have any non-fire weapons equipped, so I was just trying to take him out with the weapons I had on hand. So it took a little bit, but we got him. And then again, closing distance to take this guy out with the Teeth of Terra. Which has a... oh, Grit just procced for us there. I used to kind of dislike the skill. I kind of came around to it over time. The main reason I mean, I didn't dislike it, but it's just, I find that I don't typically get downed a lot anyway, and then even like when I do get downed, I can almost always get a second wind. And like the final nail in the coffin is like, okay, even if you do get downed and you don't get a second wind, you just respawn. So I didn't really consider it to have a massive benefit, but I did kind of come around over time. And it does feel like it activates more than 20% of the time. I don't know if that's true, but it feels like it sometimes. And it's just a pretty fun skill to play around with. It's especially good for raiding, though. For mobbing, it's not as good in my opinion, but for the raids, it's really good. And this environment right here is just beautiful. Really, I wish they had done more with it, but at least we got to play through it a little bit. Having a little underwater dome area like this, like a bigger mobbing section, would have been really cool. There's a YouTuber named Dogabe who he beat OP10 Veracitus with Axton, and he relied heavily on Grit. So it is a very good skill for the raids. I do need to get to editing that my raiding guide. I was finally able to finish all the raids legitimately, and I just need to finish editing that together. So again, these witch doctors who can heal themselves are pretty damn annoying. And we're almost to the end here. There's not a ton of enemies in Wham Bam Island. Very beautiful area, very fun headhunter pack. Son of Cromrax is kind of a disappointing raid boss, but hey, what are you gonna do? And I do hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. It would mean a lot. And you can see we're getting these guys slagged up with our Slagga and our turrets and just taking them out. If my shot placement had been a little bit better, I could have one-shot some of these guys. But you can see we're still able to take them out very easily. And then there's only a couple of enemies left here. Unfortunately, one of them is a witch doctor. So we're just gonna go ahead and keep chucking our plasma casters at him to try to take him out. Gearbox really shouldn't make enemies that can't be slagged whenever slag is so important. That's a very strange design decision in my opinion. Or at least if they're gonna do that, they should have significantly lowered their health to compensate, which they clearly didn't do enough. But there you go, very underrated weapon if you can get it. I do hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Have a good day, guys.